TV3 Ghana, do get interactive with us. Let's begin the bulletin from here. What was to be a seamless one-day exercise to elect representatives in the over 6,000 electoral areas across the country has left stakeholders questioning the preparedness of the Electoral Commission for the 2024 general elections. The EC has rescheduled to December 21 the district-level elections in some electoral areas in the Ashanti region and Eastern region as well. There's more in this report.
It's been characterized with a late start to voting in some polling stations, disruptions, and the biggest of them all perhaps, the total calling off of the entire exercise in some electoral areas. The build-up to the district assembly elections were sustained conversations on turnout. The Electoral Commission, though moderate in its projections, was loud on its readiness to execute a flawless process.
All our election materials and equipment required for the district-level elections have been procured in sufficient quantities. Ballot papers for the DLE have also been printed and dispatched to the various regions and districts under police escort.
The assertions of Madame Jean Mensah, meanwhile, have proven further from the truth, with the Commission early Tuesday morning announcing it would have to reschedule the polls in a number of electoral areas. The EC, in its statement, indicated the suspension of the exercise in some electoral areas in Ashanti and Eastern regions. The EC blamed the suspension on technical challenges, with polls in affected areas to take place on Thursday, December 21, 2023. Outside of the two regions, there were no elections in different parts of the country, with the central region also notable. The disappointments were loud.
Even at all, they should call and tell them that, oh, maybe we are coming, or try to console the people that will come. But up to now, you've not even spoken to your people who are on the grounds.
Look at the time. I don't think we can vote today. If possible, 20% crowd won't get it.
People have traveled from far to come and vote, and they couldn't vote. If they have to come back again, it will be a challenge for them.
The development has had some stakeholders casting doubts on the Commission's readiness for elections 2024. For the NDC in the Eastern region, the Electoral Commission must provide reasons for the challenges, a position reflective nationally, with the Director of Elections, Dr. Omani Boama, stating the Commission cannot repeat the same mistake come election 2024.
Meanwhile, member of the Electoral Commission and the Coalition of Domestic Election Observers, CODEO, Dr. Paula Bromper-Mensah, says the dynamics that characterize the just-ended district-level elections should not be compared to the national elections in 2024. He says the EC needs to immediately address the concerns from the local-level elections to give confidence to electorates ahead of the 2024 polls.
I don't accept people using the district level election as a test field. It's also an important election that gives us the local legislative assembly, who are actually the people who supervise our development in the local areas. So it's also an important thing. But of course, it's an issue that come about after every election. There's an assessment. What worked well, what did not work well? Who are the service providers who gave us the challenges? Are we going to maintain them? The service providers themselves are also going to assess their machines. Okay. So it's not just using the district level election as a test case. It's assessing the electoral process to come out with prognosis as to what worked well, what did not work well, what plans are we going to adopt in the next election, whether it's an intra-party election that will come, whether it's a by-election that will come. It's important that we do assessment so as to improve upon the process going forward.
And in the Ashanti region, the district-level election in 281 electoral areas in the Ashanti region has been rescheduled to Thursday, December 21. The Electoral Commission is hopeful all anomalies would have been rectified for an uninterrupted exercise in the affected areas.
Augustus had planned to vote to choose the next assembly and unit committee members for his area, Sokoban Daban, before leaving for work on Tuesday. But he was left frustrated after he was told the election has been rescheduled. owing to non-readiness of some electoral materials.
I was ready to vote, but when we came, the whole thing has changed. So I'm a bit disappointed, but all the same, we are willing to vote. We have no option. We will come. If tomorrow the voting will come on, we'll come and vote.
After traveling several kilometers from Kwahoma to exercise his civic duty at Sokoban, Yao Amponsa also had to return home disappointed.
Because
I've wasted my time and fuel to ride all the way here, hoping to vote, only to be told it's been postponed. If not for the elections, I wouldn't have stepped out today.
At Asafo, there was a protest over the change of names and positions of candidates on the ballot paper.
It's quite unfortunate because we've planned well for this election. We've have sleepless nights planning for how we're going to win this election. So when it happens like this, we don't know what next.
Several other electoral areas in the Ashanti region did not vote for different reasons. The Electoral Commission, in a statement, admitted the challenge and stated that the district-level elections in some electoral areas in the Ashanti and Eastern regions have been rescheduled to Thursday, December 21, 2023. Some candidates, however, fear that this may affect the turnout in the affected areas.
Some of the voters may not return because of distance and their work schedule. Some are even taking transport from us to return home.
Transportation every and
Aside these technical challenges, the district-level election was generally smooth in most electoral areas, though the turnout were not too encouraging in some voting centers. Ibrahim Abubakar, TV3 News, Kumasi.
Back to the capital, Accra, the National Communications Authority's request to be exempted from a case filed by Onua TV has been dismissed by an Accra High Court. The court says the NCA must remain a part of the case in which the media organization is accusing it of not following due process and its push to have Onua TV's operation license suspended.
Lawyers for the National Communications Authority had argued it ought to be exempted from the case. Its lawyers stated that the case filed by Onua TV does not state any conduct by any of its officers that makes its inclusion in the case necessary. The media organization is in court seeking to restrain the National Media Commission from taking any steps that adversely affect its operations. This suit came in the wake of the NMC asking the NCA to suspend Onua TV and Onua FM's license. Lawyers for Onua TV maintain the move is contrary to law since they were not granted a fair hearing. They also urged the court to dismiss the NCA's exemption request, insisting it had received various letters from the NMC. They also added that the NCA has the legal mandate to suspend licenses under appropriate circumstances. The High Court agreed with this view, dismissing the NCA's request. The case is back in court on January 17, 2024.
The trial of CEO of defunct gold leadership firm Men's Gold is set to commence today at the Financial and Economic Court 1 of the Accra High Court. Nana Pia Mensah, also known as NAM1, has pleaded not guilty to 39 counts of selling gold without a license, operating a deposit-taking institution without a license, inducement of investment, defrauding by false pretense, fraudulent breach of trust and money laundering to the tune of 340,835,650. The state, led by Director of Public Prosecutions Yvonne Atakra Obuobisa, has said the prosecution will rely on the testimonies of 11 witnesses during the trial. Presiding Judge Dr. Ernest Owusu-Dapa has indicated that there will be a daily trial of the former Men's Gold boss in January 2024. We'll definitely keep an eye on that and bring you the new updates subsequently. Lawyers of the New Force Movement spokesperson Shalima Abusi have expressed disappointment at the Ghana Immigration Service following the rearrest of their client after the state dropped charges against her. Shalima Abusi had earlier been granted bail after she pleaded not guilty of using forged documents to attain student permit. in Ghana. Lord Eduasari reports. Well, if you just tuned in, you are still watching the morning news here on TV3 with me, Godwin Asideba. The bulletin is streaming live on Facebook. You can get interactive with us. Let's do more stories. And the Colorado Supreme Court has barred former President Donald Trump from appearing on the state ballot for next year's election. The court justified its decision on the basis that there was significant evidence that showed that Trump was influential in the rioting that greeted his 2020 election defeat in an attempt to overturn the will of the people. It is the first time a state court has agreed that Trump should be disqualified from the 2024 election. The former president, who addressed a rally shortly after the ruling, said 2024 will be a year to restore American dignity. The decision, despite not applying to other states, is expected to possibly trigger similar outcomes, hence affecting Mr. Trump's chances of returning to the White House. Let's bring you back to our earlier story. Lawyers of the New Force Movement spokesperson Shalima Abusi have expressed disappointment at the Ghana Immigration Service following the rearrest of their client after the state dropped charges against her.
During court proceedings, Assistant Commissioner of Immigration, Adolphe Aboagye Asenso, noted that he had been instructed to withdraw the case against Shalima Abusi. Lead counsel for the New Forces spokesperson, Francis Xavier Susu, filed a motion for the release of the accused's phone, indicating that he had confirmation the National Bureau of Investigation found nothing incriminating on it. The court, presided over by Abuna Owusu Amenyo, struck out the case as withdrawn and ordered the NIB to release Shalima's phone to her, after which she was discharged. But things turned awry when, escorted by armed personnel from the Ghana Immigration Service, Shalima Abusi was surrounded and bundled into a waiting van, much to the chagrin of her lawyers and tearful parents. Lawyer Francis Susu described the action as a plot to repatriate his client.
You came to the court and said that you have asked that the court, the charges against the person be dropped. The charges are dropped, the person is discharged. And then you banded the person as if he's a common criminal here. If you really want the person in your office, from there we'll come to the office. Last week when the court said we should be there 3 times, we were there every single day. So if you knew you were going to do this, what kind of disgrace is this? What kind of international disgrace is this? I mean, are we living in a democracy or we are living in a jungle? Honestly, I'm sincerely disappointed. Because you, the immigration officers, came here and said that her permit has been revoked. If you have revoked a permit, where's the evidence of the revocation? You should have brought it to the court and show it to everybody. Then we would then say that, okay, you have revoked a permit, so you can take it. You didn't do that. Then you banded the person as if he's a common criminal and send her away like that.
He noted that he has filed an application at the Human Rights Court, adding that they suspected the Ghana Immigration Service would take such an action. Lord Eduasari, TV3 News, Accra.
The minority in Parliament wants government to see the Saglemi housing project to the Ghana Armed Forces to meet the accommodation needs of the military. Speaking during the budget approval process for the Ministry of Works and Housing, MP for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, indicated that the project must be put to use before it ends up in ruins.
Once touted as a mega housing project, the Saglemi housing project is the subject of litigation, with erstwhile officials mad with allegations of causing financial loss to the state. Speaking in Parliament during the budget approval process, Tamale South MP Haruna Idrisu called on government to put the project to good use.
Mr. Speaker, it's my considered view. I'm sure I've shared it with the minister before. This back and forth of Saglemi, declare it a dedicated facility for the armed forces of Ghana and ask them to go and complete it and live in it. You cannot invest over $200 million in a project. And today you are still telling us that there was financial loss presumptively, or there is financial loss today, when your military are struggling for houses around that area. That is state resources. Whilst you do other things you want to do, give us Saglemi housing to the Ghana Armed Forces.
The state housing company was also fingered for selling houses at prices above the reach of working class Ghanaians. A budget of over 29 billion Ghana cedis was approved for the Ministry of Education, but not until Parliament rechanneled more funds into resourcing special needs education in Ghana.
Mr. Speaker, under 1 million Ghana cedis has been allocated to special education. Special education. Mr. Speaker, special education is something that we should take it quite serious as a country. Because, Mr. Speaker, clearly there are a number of special schools in the country. But unfortunately, this budget is allocating less than 1 million Ghana cedis for special education, inclusive and special education.
1 million. It's less than 1 million. I don't want to believe that it's a typo error. I don't want to believe that. Speaker, and we have an allocation of some amount in excess of 100 million to non-formal education. Speaker, it used to be strong in the PNDC days. But respectfully, what do they do now?
Apart from the approval of the budget estimate, which is expected to continue on Wednesday, Parliament's Appointments Committee will also consider the nomination of 3 justices of the Court of Appeal who have been elevated to the Supreme Court. They will be vetted on Wednesday in Parliament. Duke Bento Opoku, TV3 News, Parliament House, Accra.
Away from Parliament, let's turn our attention to education now. And the National Association of Teachers has asked WAEC to provide evidence of the 235 students who used artificial intelligence to write the WASSCE exams. General Secretary of NAT, Thomas Musa Tanko, was reacting to statements by WAEC that 235 students deployed artificial intelligence for the exams. There's more in this report.
He who alleges must prove it. So, aside that one, our legal system follows what we call the accusatorial principle. If you make a claim, you will have to prove it. And so, until I see clearly from WAEC's end on their letterhead making that claim, they will need to add the evidence to it as to how it happened. But until such a time, I think we need to tread cautiously when some of these things come up. Okay, because we are talking about reputations, people, I mean, the work that people have done over the years and all that. So when you hear these kind of things, we need to tread cautiously. If WAEC should write something like this, WAEC will need to give us evidence to interrogate. So for now, we cannot confirm whether this thing is coming from WAEC or not.
So further investigation.
Yes, so for now, I don't think that it must take the center stage.
That's how we end the morning news this morning with me, Godwin Asidwa. There are more news updates if you log on to 3news.com. New day continues shortly with our able team. Do stay with us. Bye.